Welcome back to an episode of Ministry of Truth. I'm your only host on this show. Glad to help you out. Carmen, how are you this morning? Didn't even know Cam was live. I didn't really watch Cam for a long time. Especially when we tried to get in the Navy with felonies. Yeah, I'm not too big of a fan of that. But it is Monday morning. It's a little bit of a slow day, so some of the stuff is just totally random. I guess all the stuff that I was going to show this weekend, I probably forgot to save it, which would make sense because I'm a little bit slow. But we need to get into a little music because we're going to talk about a lot of shit today that probably doesn't really matter. I don't know why I said that. And, well, before we get into all this and me talking too much, let's start it off with some music. Yeah. Oh no. I don't know why I did that. Anyway, that's our song to Monday morning.
Francis.
What better way to get this weekend started? Monday started with some sad news. Some sad news, ladies and gentlemen. This happened this morning, early this morning, and I pretty much called it. I said this dude was going to die on Easter. So I was off by 4 hours. But let's listen to the story.
Pope Francis has died. That's come from...
All right, that's it. That's all I want to cover about that. Pope Francis died. Good. Hopefully him and Jeffrey Epstein can have a good time over there. Now let's get to our Twitter of the day. X. I got 4 videos from X I want to show you. Actually, one's a picture. I want to show you the newest bunch of cucks that are on their way to El Salvador as of we speak. Cuck number 1. Maxwell Alejandro Frost. This black guy up here in the upper left corner. I wonder why you can't see that. Then right next to him, you've got the homosexual Robert Garcia from California. Then you have Yasmin Anasadri from Arizona. And then you have Maxine Dexter from Oregon. So I'm looking at these 4 states. Not a single one of them is from Maryland, where Abrego Garcia, bless you, not coming back to the United States anymore, lived. So there's one. Why is it not? All right. On to the next. So this involves Van Hollen, that sorry piece of shit that went over to El Salvador to try and free this guy that not only was a legal immigrant, a gang member, child abuser, spouse abuser, human trafficker, but now there's so many more people that he wants to free. And we're going to talk about two Maryland men. Well, they are going to talk about it, not us. Hopefully they talk about it. I don't know.
On the inside, one of the recent deportees. What did Mr. Abrego Garcia tell you about the conditions inside? What is it like to sleep? How often are they let out of their cell? And have these men been given any kind of information about how long they will be incarcerated there?
So starting with your last question, one of the things about CCOT, which is this notorious prison in El Salvador, is that the prisoners there have no communication with the outside world. None. Not with their lawyers, not with their families, which in itself is a violation of international law. He told me that when he was first moved to CCOT, he was in a cell with about 25 other prisoners, that he wasn't scared about the other prisoners in his cell, but he was traumatized by the prisoners in other cells who taunted him. And these other cells were just packed with prisoners. He has been moved subsequently to a place with better conditions, but again, is in a total news blackout and unable to communicate with anybody. I was the first person he's communicated with, and to my knowledge, the last from the outside world. I'm working now to try to make sure that his wife can talk to him. That was his one request, other than seeking his freedom, was to be able to talk to his wife.
So he could beat her again? At the same time, two Maryland men have been arrested over a murder of a 23-year-old mother whose body was found on April 17th, buried outside the Cedarville State Forest Park in Prince George County, the same county where Kilmar Abrego Garcia lived. Illegal immigrant, oh man, Casey Robinson Alexi Barrea Rosa, Jesus Christ, how many names does this dude have, was arrested out of state and will be transported back to Maryland to face charges. Rolvin Eduardo Barraria, is that twice, of unknown immigration status, was charged and being an accessory to murder. Has he met with that family? Huh? I don't think you have. You didn't have even met with the Morin family. But it's okay. It's okay, because you're more worried about illegal immigrants who like to beat women. Your priorities are in the right place there, buddy. I feel for you. Now let's listen to this same asshole, and let's see if he answers any questions from CNN.
Of Abrego Garcia's tattoos signify that he's a member of MS-13. In 2019, police alleged a confidential informant claimed that Abrego Garcia was an active MS-13 member. His wife and his attorney deny that, of course. Can you say with absolute certainty that he is not, nor has he ever been a member of the MS-13 gang? And did you ask him point blank?
Oh, shit.
Well, Dana, what Donald Trump is trying to do here is change the subject. The subject at hand.
Whoa. Did this son of a bitch just say Donald Trump's changing the subject? She asked you a pretty straightforward question. Straightforward. But you couldn't answer it. Hopefully it comes in. Hopefully he answers it. Maybe if she asked again, nicely.
Is that he and his administration are defying a court order to give Abrego Garcia his due process rights. They're trying to litigate on social media what they should be doing in the courts. They need to put up or shut up in the courts. Let me tell you, and I decided to write this down so I could be absolutely accurate as to what federal district court Judge Zinnes said about these allegations by the Trump administration. Quote, no evidence linking Abrego Garcia to MS-13 or any terrorist activity.
Right, because, we just had 2 cases where they said he's a member of MS-13. He was not supposed to be deported back to El Salvador in fear of the gangs that might retaliate against him. That would imply he's in a gang? Maybe? Did you ask him? That's probably what I would have asked him.
Has been presented to the court. That's where to litigate this. It's been litigated in many other places. So I'm not going to get into the details because the whole purpose of our court system is for them to adjudicate these things, not for Donald Trump to go off on social media.
Yeah, you're right. They have not, there hasn't been a court hearing for them to put forward evidence in the first place, which is your whole point. But since you were the one person to have met with him, and since this is a thing, you say on social media, it's what we hear from Donald Trump and Republicans every day, all day long, you didn't ask him?
I didn't ask him that because I know what his answer is.
Ask him?
I didn't ask him that because I know what his answer is. I didn't ask him that because I know what his answer is.
Right. We all know what his answer is. It was yes. You know it's yes. He knows it's yes. We all know it's yes. Why don't you admit it? Because you already fucked up, and now you have to ride this pony till the end.
What he told me was he was sad and traumatized that he was being in prison because he has committed no crimes. And that goes to the heart of this issue because he's being denied his due process rights. And Donald Trump is trying to change the subject. When people start asking that question, in my view, they're falling into the president's trap because what the president wants to do is talk about that as if we can't all fight gang violence, which I've been doing for much longer than Donald Trump.
That's actually very, very wrong because the state of Maryland hasn't had any decrease in gang activity. Now has it? It's actually gotten worse. Van Hollen, I'm not going to let you finish talking because basically you're just continuing to lie to the American people, but it's okay because you're a Democrat and you're white. Wait, the all white men were bad for Congress, for politics, right? Too old, too pale, too stale. Remember that? Too old, too pale, too stale. All right. Last one, I think, on El Salvador. Most of this is from X.
So in this week's edition of American Politicians That Don't Give a Crap About American Residents, we have Senator Chris Van Hollen from Maryland, my state of Maryland, hence the pretty girl county hat I have on today. This guy took my money and Maryland tax-paying residents' money, tax dollars, to fly all the way to El Salvador to check on known MS-13 gang member, Kilmar Garcia. And I'm saying known because here's his paperwork, okay? Dude really was a MS-13 gang member. Not only was he an MS-13 gang member, he also liked to put hands on his wife. That's right, she had to take out a protective order. This guy, a Maryland senator, an elected official, took our dollars, our taxpayer dollars, to go check on an illegal immigrant that snuck into the country. This dude, yeah, okay. Now, do you think he checked on Rachel Morin's family? If you don't remember who Rachel Morin is, Rachel Morin was a single mother of 5 that was raped and unalive by an illegal immigrant in Maryland, in Bel Air, Maryland, to be specific. No, he didn't. In fact, her family came out and said, her mother came out and said that he paid little to no attention to them. Here's the quote. Yeah. Now, do you think he also had the wherewithal to check on Kayla Hamilton's family? No, he didn't. And if you don't know who Kayla Hamilton is, Kayla Hamilton also was a Maryland woman, a 20-year-old Maryland woman that was raped and unalive by a 13-year-old MS-13 gang member. Yeah, that Kayla Hamilton. To make matters worse, the school district, the Edgewood High School, was not alerted that they had a MS-13 gang member that was a suspect in a graping and an alivement. He
I went
was
over
in
this a couple
school
months ago.
with other Maryland kids, guys. That's what's going on in the state of Maryland. And if you're from Maryland and you're from PG County, put in the comments, say how off the chain these MS-13 gang members are. They like to chop people up. Yeah, that's what they do. Here's the paperwork. Been doing this since I was a little kid. So shout out
Right,
to
she's right. They've been doing this for as long as I can remember hearing about it.
President Bukele. Okay, shout out to President El Salvadorian President Bukele for caring more about Maryland residents and PG County residents than our own Senator Chris Van Hollen. Now, if only we could get these Maryland politicians to work for Maryland residents as hard as they work for these illegal immigrants. Yeah, if only we could do that, we really could get somewhere. Because he ain't the only one. Here's the Baltimore mayor, Brandon Scott, advocating for these illegals. Here's another one. Mayor of Frederick, Maryland, talking reckless. This dude. Yeah. And you know what? I blame Maryland residents. Not me. Y'all know I ain't vote for these fools. But they did. So this is what y'all get. Like, y'all politicians try to keep illegal gang members in your community. And y'all voted for this nonsense.
No, I didn't.
Knock it off.
You know what I voted for? Exactly what's happening. However, everything that we voted Donald Trump to do is being backdoored by judges. Judges who have no say in international affairs. That's not what their job is. Now back to YouTube. Hold on. And this is a weekend of surprises. So we'll get into this first surprise.
Say his name and he appears. I believe in Joe Hendry. I believe in Joe Hendry. Cause they love him in London, in Paris, in Tokyo, America, Scotland, and Canada, and Mexico. They say, I believe in Joe Hendry. I believe in Joe Hendry.
All right, enough of that.
Had you gotten hit by a car, that baby would be dead right now.
She just straight up backhanded this kid.
Yo, she does too.
Okay,
You're
easy.
done.
I saved this on Friday.
I'm just trying to get him to listen.
When an officer in New Berlin, Wisconsin witnesses a child hanging dangerously out of a moving car window, she initiates an urgent traffic stop. But the situation takes an alarming turn when the mother commits a shocking act of violence against her own baby, leaving officers no choice but to intervene.
If you're gonna be a to a kid because he decides to be a to you, and you tell him no, you're 18 months old as a.
The following report is based on official police
Oh,
records,
older
and the
dick.
footage has never been seen before until now. Please note that all persons charged with the crime are presumed innocent unless and until proven guilty in a court of law. Just before 6 p.m. on March 6, 2024, an officer spots a silver sedan parked at the Racine Park and Ride. As the vehicle pulls away, she notices a small, unrestrained child hanging out of the rear passenger window. Moments later, the driver runs a red light, and the officer quickly initiates a traffic stop.
No.
Hi, I'm Officer Godon. The reason I stopped you is you ran the red light back there. The baby needs to be in the car seat as well.
I know.
He's not. No, he wasn't.
Just left the house down the road.
Inside the vehicle, the officer sees multiple bottles of alcohol, including some that are open.
How much have you had to drink?
Oh, I haven't had no.
You haven't had anything?
I picked her up from her friend's house.
Okay.
I was just gonna give her right back.
The driver is 24-year-old Simranjeet Singh, who notably isn't wearing a shirt. In the back seat is 20-year-old Aliana Ali Feltz and her unrestrained 18-month-old child.
He needs to be in the car seat. Car seat needs to... No, listen.
Where's your shirt
cutting me
at?
off. Car seat, he's not good. Car seat needs to be strapped in, okay? He was halfway out the window while you were driving. Through a red light. Okay, if you would... Okay, stop cutting me off, please. Listen, I understand that. Had you gotten hit by a car, that baby would be dead right now. Okay? So he needs to be in the car seat. Okay, we're not going anywhere until that.
Car seat.
Okay,
You're
easy.
done.
The officer noted that Allie appeared to be extremely intoxicated, with bloodshot and glassy eyes. She was also unable to tell the officer her birthday or formulate coherent sentences. Backup arrives, and the officer approaches the driver's side window, unaware that he's about to witness a disturbing act of violence.
Pay attention to the right
Hey,
hand.
Mr. Singh. Officer Maloney, Grove Police Department. Hey, whose alcohol is in the vehicle?
Right hand.
I just picked her up from down the road.
Watch this.
Without warning, Allie draws back her arm and backhands her
Yeah,
child in the face.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? She just straight up back. I just picked her up from down the road.
Without warning, Allie draws back her arm and backhands her child in the face.
Crazy.
Are you kidding me?
Right.
Are you kidding me? She just straight up backhanded this kid. What? She just straight up backhanded that child. You see a mark on him?
You call her mom.
No, I'm calling her right now.
No. Did you call her mom?
Calling her brother.
No, probably.
I'll let him just
He will not.
Which side of the face?
smack.
So it doesn't matter.
See how his red face?
All right, let's secure this.
Where's mom? Where's mom?
I'm his mom.
No, your mother.
Yes, I am.
Your mother. Where's your mother? Your mother.
Yeah, she's 35 minutes away. She does not give a She never has cared about.
She called me saying that she didn't like that. Pop the trunk for me.
While one officer consoles the child, another takes several bottles of alcohol from the vehicle, securing them in the trunk.
It's fucking crazy.
Afterwards, he examines the car seat and notes it was not belted in, attached only by the tether for the car seat anchor. The driver, Simranjeet, is next given a breathalyzer test, which returns an alarming result of 0.26.
All right. Do you know what the legal limit is Wisconsin?
0.08.
Huh? I'm sorry? Yeah, you're about 3 times the legal limit. So, but step out. I'm not arresting you, okay? But you can't be in the car right now, and I'm going to need your keys.
As he exits the vehicle, Simranjeet's pants are visibly sagging below his waist, leading to questions about what the pair were doing before they were pulled over.
Okay, so what was going on in the park and ride?
I was just talking to her. Like, I haven't seen her.
So you normally talk with your shirt off and your pants half down?
No, I usually, I literally took my shirt off earlier because it was hot. That's all.
Okay, and your pants?
No, my pants were on the whole time.
Well, you just stood up and they were like half down. And you're half down. I was talking to you.
My belt broke.
Okay, listen, I just need to know straight up. What were you doing?
I wasn't doing anything. I was thinking you were making. That's what you did.
Oh, so you were making out?
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so you were doing something.
Put your pants
Yeah,
down.
no, we were just making out. That's it.
Okay.
We haven't seen each other in months.
Okay, and where was the baby during this?
He was in the backseat with us.
So you guys were getting it on in the back seat and the baby was next to you.
Like I said, we just kissed. That's all.
More officers arrive, and an ambulance is called to the scene to examine the 18-month-old boy for possible injury. While they wait, an officer tries to get critical information from Allie, but this proves to be a challenge.
Does he have any medical problems, allergies, anything like that?
Is that window busted out?
And do you have a family member or something that we can call to come get him?
Fire department.
Yes, but she's a and a half. But no, so I guess neighbor, friend.
They learn that Allie lives with her parents, but efforts to obtain their contact information are unsuccessful. Officers next administer a breathalyzer test on Allie, which returns a result of 0.331. According to police records, officers learned Allie had an open case in Racine County, though there are no further details. They ask her to step out of the vehicle and place her under arrest.
He needs to knock it off. Because it's my kid's son.
You want help?
Yes, please.
God.
No, it's not even that. You're
Neither one of those two driving, period.
Come on.
They're
Okay, I'm coming out.
Here. Stand up.
Good.
All right. Come on. Stay right there. Up.
I'm just mad that they're not getting out my kid door. That's my kid. You're good. I need to pee, and they won't get out my kid.
All right.
I need to pee. I need to. Whatever.
All right. Hold on. Stop moving. Stop moving. Okay.
I need to.
All right. One thing at a time. Okay.
You're good.
All right. I'm gonna have you put your hands behind your back.
I'm not.
Okay.
The problem.
All right. Allie, I need you to listen to me. All right.
You are. I do. I'm not mad. I'm just.
All right. Allie, at this time, you're being placed under arrest. Okay, under arrest for child abuse.
How?
How?
He's literally born with abuse.
Do you have anything on you that'll stick to your coat, please?
No, I don't.
No? Anything in your pockets?
No, I don't. And I'm very confused. I have literally nothing.
I just gotta check.
I gotta get or weed, whatever I need to pee.
All right, we're gonna head back to the squad right here. Okay?
That's all you do. I haven't need to pee more. I genuinely, you gotta get them too.
Huh?
I'm not going door to door. I'm just trying to get everybody that's telling that I'm really sorry.
Right.
Why are you guys? No. First off, why are you guys adoring me, dude?
I don't even know what you're saying.
No. Why are you guys going to put me underwear in the backseat of the vehicle?
There you go.
No, I'm done with that.
Under arrest.
But why?
I already told you, for child abuse neglect.
Yeah, but he's the same. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Simranjeet is also taken into custody and placed in the back of a separate squad car. While he stays silent once the door is closed, Allie is anything but.
I'm not trying to be an asshole. Come on. I'm not trying to be Come on. I'm literally just trying to be an ass. Come on.
You just said you
I'm done. I cannot tell you what's going on. I really I could tell you what's going on. I really wish I could. I can't. Hey, do you know what's going on?
Somewhat. Trying to figure that out.
Me too. I really need to pee and I'm done. I need to go home. I'm done.
After checking on the child, officers express concern that he may be hungry.
I just want to ask her what we can give her kid.
I'm sure if you asked her, like, if she's hungry.
Know where she is.
She knows she's under arrest.
I hope so. I told her like 3 times.
Just ask what formula her kid drinks and see if she answers.
I could see the cop trying to feed the kid a Slim Jim.
Hey, what kind of formula does she drink?
It's literally just my table, whatever. I just need to go home. I can't deep in here.
Without a coherent answer, they formulate another plan.
I'm gonna run to Walgreens and try to pick up some more food pouches for the kid. He's got a mouthful of teeth, so he's probably taking some soft foods at the very least.
An officer steps into the back of the ambulance where medical personnel have been examining the 18-month-old boy.
What's wrong? We're going to get you some food.
We got a clean diaper, so we got that part taken care of.
He's pulling his car around right now.
Huh? So this kind of the right side of the face is new from tonight when Mom.
Oh.
Yo, are you okay? Please let me know you're okay. Let me know.
Annie, are you
I
okay?
need to go. You're cooking. You guys
Are you okay?
pants and filling Pam. You're okay, and I'm freaking out.
Are you okay, Annie? Allie?
Watching the show, listening to music.
Not working.
It was good for like the first 10 minutes, and then it was just like, oh. Now he just doesn't know what he wants.
I know, I'm a really big yawn.
Yeah, he's had huge yawns. Like, he's so super tired.
Oh, are you going to sleep?
I know.
Try yourself. Look on your chin.
I don't know what that is. It's hard to tell like what was from her. We're gonna go for a ride.
After speaking with Child Protective Services by phone and informing them of the situation, officers place the baby's car seat in the back of a squad car and transport him to the police station, where they will attempt to contact Allie's mother.
You guys
You
suck.
hooked it up right at least?
I really hate. I wish you guys had gotten to send me. I'm never trying. I need to go home. I cannot do this. Whatever is going home, I cannot just pretend to be home that I'm home for the next hour. I really need home. I cannot pretend that my parents give a about me anymore. I'm done.
Both Simranjeet and Allie are transported to the police station separately.
Hey, Malone. She's about to pee her pants, and I don't want her to pee in my squad. 1 second. Oh my god, I gotta take my stuff off.
So I really don't mean to be but I really have to pee. I know.
They pat Allie down once again before placing her in a holding cell with a toilet. After 9 p.m., more than 3 hours after the initial traffic stop, the officer prepares to question Allie, unaware of the unusual direction the interview is about to take.
You are highly intoxicated.
Yep.
Okay.
Not highly.
While
Definitely.
you're highly.
Yep.
While we were speaking with you, you backhanded him across the face.
Yes.
Do you remember doing that?
I do. Because he's been very... I'm not I'm just trying to get him to listen.
You drove around with your 18-month-old unsecured, hanging out a window, while you both are heavily intoxicated. You ran through a red light. Your child hasn't eaten in 8 hours.
He definitely has.
You told us the last time you fed him was lunch. Your child was screaming uncontrollably until one of our officers went and bought him food.
I'm saying I eat lunch with him all the time. We went to, not Panda Express, but
You said lunch.
one of the spots, and we got him food. We got him crab rangoons and something else.
So you're telling me that you fed your 1.5-year-old child crab rangoons for lunch?
Meanwhile, after successfully locating contact information for Allie's parents, they arrive to take custody of the baby, who was fast asleep after his meal.
Thank you so much. Not a problem for you. Not a problem. Best of luck for you guys, and hopefully everything goes well.
Yeah.
This is all I'm worried about right now.
Yeah.
Tried to help her many times, and
Just look like you can sleep for her to try and show. Sometimes you have to hit that rock bottom.
With the child safely in the hands of his grandparents, officers prepare to take Allie to the Waukesha County Jail.
I already know where I'm going. I'm done. I just need nicotine.
You're just going to see a judge.
Yep, and that's the problem because they judge you based on your appearance. And what do I look like? A piece of I look like a hoodlum. I look like a white
I disagree. I don't think you look like a piece of
I look like a white that made a bad choice.
Whoa!
And I did. I don't beat my kid. I just smack him on the ass sometimes.
That's not what happened tonight. That's what you slapped him in the face.
I did. Whatever. I still need nicotine. I'm like terrified. I cannot deal with like the bull cigarettes. I cannot do that in jail.
You'll be okay.
Allie speaks continuously throughout the 25-minute transport to the jail.
I don't mean to be a to you guys. I don't mean to like make your lives any harder. I don't have a I'm not from raising if I hear that they need to be perfect and I need to be perfect. Otherwise I'm I really hope someone just stabs me in jail. Maybe if I'm being honest. Maybe I'll get lucky enough to get dead. He deserves a better I really hope somebody just shanks me. Like Jennifer Coolidge. It makes me want a hot dog real bad. Like, I'm gonna want a hot dog real bad when I get out of jail. But they'll say, then you should have thought about that before you got to jail.
During processing, her continuous remarks about her child begin to draw the attention of other officers.
If you're gonna be a with me because he decides to be a to you,
Your 18-month-old is a
24-year-old Simranjeet Singh was charged with operating a vehicle while intoxicated. His license was suspended for a period of 6 months. As for 20-year-old Aliana Feltz, she received citations for underage drinking, riding without a seatbelt, and violation of child safety restraint. On March 22, 2024, she was formally charged with felony child abuse, felony neglect, and bail jumping for an unrelated case in Racine County, a misdemeanor charge which was dismissed. Aliana was sentenced to 2 years in prison, but her sentence is imposed and stayed meaning she's serving 12 months in the Waukesha County Jail as a condition of her probation. If she violates probation, the court may revoke her probation and activate the full 2-year prison sentence. Following her arrest, she began posting publicly about the incident on TikTok and remained active until February 11, 2025, just 1 day before she was scheduled to report to the Waukesha County Jail, where she's currently serving her sentence.
The Israeli army says it's
Stupid bitch. Oh, okay, here we go. Now that everybody's forgotten all about, the rest of the world and how Israel likes to kill. Wait, Israel doesn't kill innocent people, do they?
Mr. Deputy Commander over the killing of 14 Palestinian medics and a UN worker in Gaza last month, following its own investigation into what happened. It said troops opened fire, believing the vehicles were being used by Hamas. Images filmed by one of the medics who died showed the convoy travelling at night with flashing emergency lights, contradicting Israel's previous version of events. The killings caused international outrage, and there are calls for an independent inquiry. Paul Adams reports.
So Israel kills medics and pretends it's okay because they were defending themselves, right? I forgot where I was going with that. God damn it.
It's been 4 weeks since a convoy of rescue vehicles raced through the pre-dawn dark.
So they're okay with Israel not, giving due process and just automatically thinking people are terrorists when there are actual terrorists that Democrats want to. No, that's not this. It's not true. Democrats love America.
Darkness to help colleagues ambushed by Israeli soldiers an hour earlier. One of the paramedics, Rifat Radwan, heard apologizing to his mother and saying his prayers moments before he died. The Israeli military has taken its time coming up with a coherent account of what happened in the early hours of March the 23rd. It now admits that its soldiers did mistakenly kill the rescue workers, but it says that the soldiers believed that they were operating in a situation of real danger. The soldiers, we're told, thought they were dealing with Hamas, which has used ambulances as cover in the past. But in the dark, the commander made fatal mistakes. The examination determined that the fire in the first 2 incidents resulted from an operational misunderstanding by the troops, who believed they faced a tangible threat from enemy forces. The third incident involved a breach of orders. The IDF regrets the harm caused to uninvolved civilians.
We're now looking for the bodies.
When Israel finally allowed the UN to visit the site 4 days later, grim discoveries. Bodies dumped in a mass grave. Vehicles mangled and buried.
4 days later, and they were already in mass graves? That's interesting.
In the sand. Israel is adamant it was not trying to hide the evidence. The paramedics were not tied up or executed. Despite early rumors, Palestinian forensic investigators aren't claiming this either.
We found the entry and exit points of gunshot wounds, mostly in the torso, between the chest and abdomen. In 3 cases, the wounds were in the head.
One of the surviving paramedics, Asad al-Nasasra, is still being held by Israel, his family waiting for news.
When we heard Assad was detained, we were slightly relieved. But we don't know what prison he was taken to or how he is being treated. So we are still very worried.
Tonight, a spokeswoman for the Palestine Red Crescent rejected Israel's findings. The report, she said, was full of lies. Israel says 6 of the paramedics it killed were also members of Hamas, and it says it plans to name them, and that this afternoon.
Right. So, without hope, is that they can provide evidence that they were members of Hamas. Just like some people have evidence that he was MS-13. Stop that. Stop that. Stop trying to compare the two. One's controlling the world and the other one wants to control the world. And by controlling the world, I mean Israel and wants to control the world, U.S. Democrats. New World Order. Your New World Order is falling. The Pope's dead. Klaus Schwab stepped down. What else you got? What more do you need, AOC?
Afternoon's briefing, officials showed us aerial footage which indicated that several other vehicles, including an ambulance, were not shot at as they passed by in the hour between the first and second ambushes. Proof, the Israelis say, that its troops don't simply open.
I heard ambushes. So they were laying in wait for these medics. Interesting. All right, so we're going to go from one stupid fucking country and okaying with, murders and people fucking just plain being stupid and trying to get shit for clickbait. Unlike, our good friend Mr. Rosen, who doesn't do shit for clickbait, but the Madison County Sheriff's Department seems to think so. What are you talking about? Stop. So this is a protest for Austin Metcalf. And, well, what this fucker does is pretty disgusting when he's talking to Metcalf's dad. Granted, it's on the phone, but still.
Do you know if they reached out to Jeff?
They did not.
They didn't even reach out?
Have not spoke to him under no circumstances.
Wow. Okay.
So when I do this interview, that's what I'm going to ask him here in a minute. Have you spoke with the father? And since I have, the father says he wants no part of this. Under no circumstances, he wants his kid labeled with what's happening here. So since they're going to give me an interview, I'm going to go do it.
Wonderful. We are all very excited for this.
After they finish with this.
No reason to plunge a dagger into his heart like that.
100%.
There's no reason.
100%. See, this is my organization. I see it. And I travel across the country to reduce violence in black communities.
Thank you. I stand with you, sir, on
a regular basis. But today, I'm here on behalf of the father, Jeff Metcalf.
Okay.
And what he's asking you is to not use his son's image or likeness in what you're doing. You can do what you do, but that's not what he wants his son tied to.
Okay.
Out of respect for that family.
Now, I would ask Jeff Metcalf if he would be bold enough to act like a father of a deceased young man that was murdered instead of being somebody suppressed, worried that he's going to spark the next race riots or some type of thing. He needs to stand for righteousness, not for the consequences of righteous actions always need to be taken seriously. He needs to be righteous before he is fearful. He is acting out of fear, not out of righteousness. He should have been on the top of the bus today. He should have been standing shoulder to shoulder with me.
Are you a father?
So the father doesn't approve of this. He doesn't want the kid's name being used, his picture being used, which he should respect. And this guy says, it says Team Blackmail's winning. But he's basically trying to belittle the dad because he doesn't want to do all these protests and play into that race war, which, well, it's quite obvious that both sides want this now. Saying one kid was murdered. There's no doubt about it. There's a video. There's no doubt about it. There's a reason they don't want to release the video. There's no doubt about it. But the kid died. Stop harassing his father. Both sides.
No, I'm not.
I'm a father.
Amen.
I'm a father. As a father, there is this thing called grief. So let me tell you what's going on in his house. He's getting swatted. His only other son.
Who is swatting him?
Well,
Which
that's
community?
No,
probably you.
We don't know the community, but it's happening. That's on the police to find. Secondly, he has a son who's a twin, who his son died in his arms. So that means he needs to navigate that. Then his son, who's his only son, is getting death threats. So as a father, his hands is full. So the last thing he wants to be tied to is having this complex of race. So yes, violence is bad. Young black men are getting killed every day by young black men across this country.
Yes, but I'm not a member of that community. I'm a member of my community. My community is being victimized by the community of violent black,
but here's the problem. But here's the problem.
Degenerates.
When you stand up in the name of God, there's one body.
Amen.
And if you're not a part of that body.
I can read statistics. I'm also a pragmatic human being. So I understand when there's a problem, it needs to be addressed head on. If you tiptoe around a problem, that's how you get to the end result.
So your biggest concern is the loss of white life by black people?
No, that's not my concern. I have concern.
The concern is a repeating pattern. It doesn't stop. It just keeps going on and on and on and on. And we just can't ignore it any longer. If it stops, we're good.
So let me answer that question. Do you believe more white people are killed by white people or by black people?
Listen, by strangers, it's 2 to 1. Every single race in domestic issues, because we live amongst each other and uncles kill uncles or drunk at barbecues and stuff like that, it's always the same amount.
So your response is this.
Let me respond, please. Please let me respond.
Is your response that Mr. Metcalf needs to get on your bus and tell people that his son was killed, but he's not you. So what I'm saying is,
I'm telling you, I'm somebody that stands for what I believe in, and I don't cower when it's time to stand.
If your desire
it's because of fear.
My desire is that another Austin Metcalf does not happen next week. And if I was his father, I would stand righteously to say, yes, but I'm a man.
We all have common
sense. So you're speaking for his father?
Hold on. We know.
No, I'm speaking for white men in this country.
Are you a father?
White people in this country.
Are you a father?
Hold on 1 second.
Are you a father?
Hold on 1 second.
Are you a father?
I'm not, but listen.
Okay, so when I'm
not done talking yet.
Who are not dealing with grief, you've talked for an hour. So if you want to address, I can give you after I give this message. The bottom line is this. You have a father that's out of respect asking you not to put his son's face in a place. How do you say you're going to represent people when you can't respect the will of the people?
Let me respond, guys. There's too much peanut gallery.
That's not what his father said. His father did not say that.
Can we please let me respond?
So you
believe
respond.
I'm having a conversation between you and I. Listen to this.
Yeah.
Austin Metcalf is no longer Austin Metcalf. He is a symbol. He is a symbol of young white people being predatorized and victimized every single day, living in fear. He is living in fear.
So why they only pick
Our people in this country are living in fear. Austin Metcalf is no longer just
hold on, Jeff. Do me one favor, because there seems to be an issue that you're okay with Austin's name being plastered with this particular movement. Now, I've already addressed that. So now I want you to say one more time that you agree with your son's name and face being attached to this movement?
Hey, Jeff Metcalf, this is Jake Lang here. I wanted to talk to you, not be led into a question. This is a legal argument. This is called leading.
Do you agree with your son?
Can I have a conversation with you?
No, because you could have called him before that. You could have called him out of respect.
I've been reaching out. I'm one of the biggest figures in America.
Jeff,
nobody's ever
I've given you a message. I've given you
your message. If he's one of the biggest figures in America, where the fuck have I been? I have no idea who this guy is.
I texted all family members, everybody I could find.
I've given you your message, and here's the response.
You're not giving my message. You're giving your message.
What he said was this. What he said was this. He said that you, as a father, should be on the bus with him, delivering the message that he's delivering. Unfortunately, he's not a father, and the gentleman with it is not a father. Maybe they don't understand what loss is. But at the end of the day, I've given your message, and they thought that it wasn't your message.
Let me have 1 minute of my message to Jeff Metcalf.
Call him.
Okay, what's his number?
You said you had his number.
Do you? Huh?
This is not a good faith discussion.
Okay, hold on. Here's Jeff. Hold on. So, Jeff, go ahead. Go ahead. Jake?
Hey, Jeff, it's Jake Lang here. Jeff, first of all, my entire heart rests in your hands. I would be in my position, not even as somebody even knew your son, but somebody that shares the same understanding. I grew up as a 17-year-old young white man too, and I grew up in fear of my life around black people because they were killing and robbing people around me all the time. And I don't understand, as I was a father, you could sit idly by and not condemn the culture that killed your son. There is an epidemic problem in this country, and your voice could be one of the loudest voices in this country, but you've chosen to recoil out of fear and continue the suppression. Why will you not stand with me and with the rest of the people? We're not calling for racial divide. We're not calling for hatred. We're saying 350,000 attacks on white people by black people a year in this country is wrong. Why can't you stand that and say with that? Maybe you can. Would you be willing to stand by me in a press conference or in an individual interview and talk about this issue that is larger than Austin at this point? God rest the beautiful young man's soul that would have been one of our strongest voices if he was still alive today. Yes, I am, sir.
Okay, my turn to speak. You are part of the fucking problem, my friend. You're trying to create more racism.
called white guilt.
No, let it talk.
You're creating more Austin Metcalfs with your weakness, sir.
Thanks.
You are creating more Austin Metcalfs with your weakness.
Here, you are being weak. I gotta be honest with you about that, sir.
You're being weak. Condemn your son's killer and the culture that caused it.
Hey, Jeff.
That's the problem. You've been submitted.
Hold on, hey, Jeff.
You've been submitted.
I'll handle it from here.
You've been submitted, sir.
You know, if there was ever a candidate in today's, broad spectrum of things that would be the poster boy for white supremacy, this guy would be it. 100% this guy would be it.
You're not gonna make us back down.
If we were all of your nature,
guys, listen.
You're not gonna say
what a weak man.
Do you know who you're talking to? You don't, do you?
I'm talking to a black man.
You don't. No, you're not. Okay. You sit here. You talk about Trump.
But I am. You're not
Google my name and
down.
Trump. No. When you do that, my name is.
I agree with black males winning.
Google that.
But they're not winning right now.
What you're doing,
they're becoming degenerates.
What you're doing
and murdering white people.
You're not helping America. You're no more patriotic than I am. No way.
Where were you on January 6th?
You've been silent. It's only gotten worse.
Where were you on January 6th?
You've been silent. It's only gotten worse.
Where were you? Did you stand for your country?
So you think that made you patriot because you showed up there? Does that make you a patriot?
Joe
Biden,
because you showed up.
All you're doing is condemning us. What's your solution?
My solution is to help people where they're weak. So we have an issue in young black males' lives across the country.
It's not say that to Jeff Metcalf.
Say that to Jeff Metcalf.
We talk about it, man.
Say it.
At the end of the day, the man is asking. So let me ask you this: you got a father who's grieving. And your response is he's weak.
My father is celebrating my strength right now.
You have no idea. You'll never win the Senate. And what I'll do, I'll come to Florida and run for Senate and run as a Republican, and I'll kick your butt.
No, you lose, bro.
You need 2 years of presidency in Florida.
Because this behavior is why we're in the situation where we are.
No.
We get these. Is that what it is? Okay. Well, at the end of the day, he's asked you what to do and what not to do.
Listen,
you have a right to do it or not do it.
You can say not talk about Austin Metcalf, but we're gonna get.
I don't even know.
I love somebody.
You love the thought of using Austin for T-shirts, for propaganda, and to get out here and talk about
you want to shut down a white man right now.
I'll shut you down.
You're not shutting me down.
I'm not raising money like
because
Carmelo
I got
Anthony.
family.
I'm not raising money like
put down anymore. No, bro, you stop. You came here to try to shut him down.
No, I came here to give him a message from a father.
And listen,
but I realize that's not his deal.
Let's be honest. You're a black man. You're trying to shut him down.
I'm an American.
No, man. You don't.
I'm an American. No,
I am.
I'm an American.
I am. You're not. That's why I'm here. You want to silence him.
No,
you want to shame him.
I'm an American.
Telling you, if there was a new face of white supremacy, it would be this guy right here. This guy could possibly be the next Hitler. I mean, he's already got a black guy, on his side. Out of, well, damn, he's the only one there.
I've seen it happen over and over. It's not foolishness. You've done nothing. You have not worked on anything. It's not changed nothing. We're here to try something different to stop this.
So what's the difference?
The difference is we're actually coming out here with courage.
Saying what?
And you just want to silence people.
No.
Saying that white people can't be put down anymore.
I listened to you.
I
listened to you for 2 hours.
Yeah.
It wasn't substantive.
And you were raging.
You had more people
you were raging.
To the
What's substantive then?
One dead, the 17. Another one who's in jail.
He's a murderer.
And you had
how often it happens all the time.
Who's been
He's home eating Cheetos. We tried your way. It happens again and
again
and again. It doesn't stop.
At the other day.
How did you know he's eating Cheetos? But if he was eating Cheetos, I bet you they're the flaming hot kind.
What is this? You probably bought that hat for me. Those flags, I probably sold you those flags.
You're not a Trumper, brother. You're not a Trumper. I understand what being a Make America Great Again patriot means. And it means addressing.
What does it mean?
It means addressing issues without
Wait,
being
you
a
think maybe
pussyfoot
he
around it.
bus driver?
Don't tap dance around the issues. Address it. Black people are killing white people in this country, and it needs to stop.
Yeah.
We are being predatorized in our own country. We are being predatorized in our own country, and it's a weakness from Jeff Metcalf and people like you that is continuing the culture. Condemn Carmelo Anthony, condemn. Why are you confronting me? What if you call Jeff Metcalf and say there's a young black man with a Carmelo Anthony jersey on parading his son's death? When I'm standing strong
against the murderer. My name in Trump. Since you say I'm
standing strong against the murderer.
I want you to learn. I know.
President Trump pardoned
I got you. It doesn't matter, guys.
President Trump doesn't matter.
No,
President Trump would have left me behind.
He probably
You're
should
not
have
President Trump.
No, I'm a man.
You're a
nobody.
You're not Trump supporter then. It was just a part
So the problem is
not
this.
getting due process. You're not getting impartial.
Here's the problem right here.
Dude, he's a waste.
You all follow a man off the cliff.
No.
I'm a man. I will call anybody
Donald
wrong.
Trump did not make that stand. You won't call him wrong.
Who won't?
You just want
when Trump is wrong, I'll call Trump wrong.
Racial tribalist. I see right through this.
Oh shit, there's another one.
Like seriously.
He looks a little light in the low for you,
Tell
bro.
that woman to be quiet. No, it was wrong for her to spray you with that mace.
All right, so me standing up for what I believe
I'm good.
and getting sprayed for it.
And that she's wrong, so hopefully you press charges and she's prosecuted.
So was Donald Trump wrong for pardoning me in the January 6th?
I don't know your role, but if you're wrong...
I had the most violent charges of all the January 6th.
They were calling out black people for doing bad
Are you?
You don't agree with being a 1776 patriot and fighting for your country? Would you believe the founding fathers are right to
The
go
founding fathers
against
were right
tyranny?
on some things and they were wrong on some
I'm
things.
talking about tyranny. Were they right against standing against tyranny?
No,
Are we right against standing
your
against black
rationale is
violence? It
tyranny.
is tyranny. We are living in tyranny. It is the same
if
tyranny.
Your concern is about
It
black
is the
violence,
same
no.
tyranny.
If
Black
your
violence,
concern is
tyranny?
about black violence,
And
why are you not
racism
talking
against
about
white people.
Atlanta? Why are you not talking about what's going on in Philadelphia? Why are you not talking about what's going on in
Listen,
Memphis?
I'm talking about
Because we're
black
here
violence
today.
against
We're here
white
today.
Americans.
Reason why.
Yes, sir.
You want to
Yes,
talk
sir.
about cities. Detroit is one of the most unlivable cities in America.
Yep.
Up until the 1950s, Detroit was called the Paris of the West.
Okay.
Why is that? Why is that
Democratic
no longer the
leadership.
case? Because
Let
it's
me tell you
unlivable
why.
due to black crime.
Dude, I'm slow. I'm slow. I just now recognize it.
Every minute you say that that's not an issue. You
The community that I
Saying white
represent.
people are
I
being
also
targeted.
represent other communities.
What are you being
Republicans.
disingenuous? You're trying to shut him down. You're trying to shut him down. Yes, you are. You're trying to shame him.
You are a
trying to run him off. I said his
Black guy in the back.
No matter
He gets to do
you
what
called him and let him and get him to
Black
say
dude.
that.
You are
It's not
still a
even
member
see
of
the
your
event.
community.
Let me ask you
You're
something.
mad. No, hold on.
Why are you getting in his
Calling
face
out
like
black
that?
people for doing
No,
wrong. Yes,
I
you
don't
are.
care, son.
You care. That's why you're here right now. That's why
I
you
call
came
out
here.
black people
We're not
every
stupid.
day.
We see what you're doing.
One question.
We see what you're doing.
Should Carmelo Anthony?
I know you don't have white family members like I do, but I'm tired of it.
You'd be surprised.
I have white
Really,
family
Carmelo,
members too.
should Carmelo not have any injuries on my indictment? Why was I left?
$500,000 raised for Carmelo Anthony because he killed a white
So I
man.
have two problems.
What's your issue?
I have two problems.
Yeah.
So no, hold on.
If
When
Carmelo
you-
Anthony
when
was
you-
your neighbor,
hold on.
would you allow your
Hold on.
children to go play with him right now? Carmelo's answer, Jay, he's home on bond. Would you send your children over to go play Xbox with him right now?
I don't know the kid.
Exactly, because he doesn't.
You don't
he
know?
isn't your
Oh,
neighbor.
wow. Okay.
Hold on.
I know you were here today.
Why?
You're just mad that he's calling out the problem of black people killing white people. Yes, that's exactly what I think.
You don't see
You're
That's
for
why I think
black
you came
males
here to
winning. How
start some
about for
shit.
black males murdering? Are you against that?
100%.
I think that
Okay,
I
so
think
why
Austin
Carmelo
was
Anthony? Why
a
is he
black
given the
kid.
opportunity to kill the
That's
next
it.
person that
Those two must be fucking butt buddies.
Us out live to poke.
Dude, the dad said, hey, please stop. And then he called you a piece of shit, pretty much, and told you stop using his fucking stuff because you're the fucking problem. And watching that, I don't know who the fuck you are. You are the problem. You're the problem. And these guys are the problem.
County, Florida, as we're hearing from Sheriff Grady Judd on the arrest of a group of undocumented immigrants.
Investigation that was led by my organized retail crime team. And this investigation began in October of last year, and it involved the TDA. This is a very violent Venezuelan gang. This gang originated out of the prisons in Venezuela. It's recognized in the United States as an organized, not only an organized gang, but they're also recognized as an organized terrorist organization. Now, you watch the national news and you think, oh, that's something that happens someplace else. But I can tell you that this violent gang was alive and well in Central Florida. And I want to show you, this is Alexis Benavides, and I'm going to introduce him to you in a minute. This is his gun. I want to tell you that these folks came across the border illegally. I want to give you details. This started with 32 cases that we worked, and there were 4 cases worked by other agencies. And it was with them stealing high-end liquor. But it started out something as minor as grabbing beer at convenience stores, and it elevated to robbery. And then not only was there a robbery here, but we worked with Osceola County because during the process of this in Osceola County, they committed robbery with a firearm. It's a violent group. So how did we come into contact with these folks? Through Public's Organized Retail Crime Investigation Unit, who noticed a trend of people stealing high-end liquor from them. And during the process of us investigating this, we determined that they were also stealing from Sam's and Walmart, the same trend. We also learned that other agencies had made 4 arrests along the way. And I really want to underscore and highlight the Lakeland Police Department, because when they went to Sam's in the city of Lakeland to steal, they actually robbed the clerk, injuring her hand. They had loaded this high-end liquor into a basket and were trying to leave with it. She tried to stop them. They literally ran into her, injured her hand, and fled. The Lakeland Police Department immediately started an investigation, learned when they fled, they damaged their vehicle, which ended up in a crash, and then they scattered like rats on a sinking ship. They ultimately got an Uber and fled.
What?
Lakeland Police Department had suspects, and they were onto this case. They worked hand in glove with us. We explained to them there was a long-term investigation that we were doing as well, and they wanted to make sure that not only did they have a successful arrest, but that they worked with us so that we could wrap up this entire organization. But I want to stop just a minute. It's not just the Lakeland Police Department and the Sheriff's Office. It's DHS. They were involved in this investigation.
As they
the
should
Orange
be.
and Osceola Sheriff's Office was involved in this investigation. Florida Department of Law Enforcement was involved in this investigation. The U.S. Marshals Task Force was involved in this investigation. ICE put holes on all of these folks, and I'm going to talk in detail about that in just a few minutes. The statewide prosecutor is working with us, and our detectives are currently working with them because we're seeking to file not only organized retail theft charges, not only robbery charges,
RICO.
We're seeking also to file racketeering charges, which is a 30-year minimum mandatory. We couldn't do that without the cooperation of first our state attorney's office and ultimately our Florida statewide prosecutors, who works under James Uthmeyer, our Attorney General. So when you look at this investigation and you look at all these investigations, no one agency does this. So I want to underscore and recognize each of them.
It is, Sam.
Osceola, Orange, when we were picking up 3 of the 5, 2 were already in custody in Osceola County, by the way, for a robbery. They sent teams of people out to help us with surveillance and with entry to make sure that we had sufficient help to do this appropriately, because these folks are violent and they're dangerous. But once again, I want to introduce you to the different individuals that you see here. And I'll start with Samuel. Charlie, he's 25. He is a documented member of this gang task force, of this gang. We have designated him as a terrorist federally. He has a criminal history in this country. We don't know about his criminal history in Venezuela. He came here through El Paso in 2023 walked into the border. It was wide open. It was not difficult. He was one of the leader in these theft operations. He's unemployed, and that's a common theme you'll hear throughout the day. None of these people are working in the United States.
Whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. I'm legal. I don't work, but I'm legal, I promise you.
States, but they're living high. So what does that tell you? They're committing crime. They came here illegally through the Biden open border, all but, I believe, one. They're robbing and stealing from those of us in the United States who behave. And at the end of the day, we didn't have to search far for him because he was already in the Osceola County Jail, charged with a robbery that occurred during the period of time we were investigating this organized retail theft group. Then there was Ramon Luna. He's 26. He is an associate. So why do we call him an associate? Because he has not been certified yet, but he's running with these gang members. When we finish our investigations and we finish working with the feds, we anticipate that all of these folks will be documented as gang members. Only 2 are, but he's an associate of theirs now. Interestingly enough, even though they claim not to have known each other, guess when he came through the same month, September 2023, in El Paso, illegally.
El Paso?
And as the end of the day, you're going to see pictures at the end of them partying. They've got time to steal, they've got time to rob, they've got time to party in this country, all while they're here illegally, all while they were allowed to just walk into this country. Then there's Aldemaro Mendoza. He's 26. He is also an associate. Now, he's the exception. He came in 2016.
Wait, so if they are known gang members, they don't need a court order now. They don't need due process. They're known gang members.
As a Detroit Tiger minor league prospect, he didn't make it. He didn't even make it to the minor leagues, but he was a prospect when he was brought here. And guess what? He failed to deport. So while he had a legal status in 2016, he failed to deport. Now listen, 2016 to 2025, okay, I'm not real good at math, but that's about 9 years, right? The federal government has him in deportation procedures, but in 9 years, they can't get him out of here? Come on, man. If you don't think the federal immigration system is messed up, here's your sign.
Well, not only that, but the courts are behind these guys. Senators are behind these guys now.
All the while, he wasn't hard to find because he was in the Osceola jail for robbery. That's right. Charlie and Mendoza together robbed a person at gunpoint in Osceola County, neither of which should have been here. Then there's Darwin's Leon. He's 28. He's also an associate. He crossed in December of 2021 at El Paso.
Wait, so they're all associates?
There was a warrant for removal for him.
Oh.
But despite that warrant for removal, he was...
Don't deport him. Don't deport him. You're going to have somebody go to get him in Venezuela. Oh, and check this out. So, Venezuela's not taking any of their people back from the United States. So, El Salvador is considering doing prison swaps with Venezuela. Oh, shit. That's a way to get around it, right?
Here, wandering around, committing robberies, committing organized theft, partying. We also know that he was in Aurora, Colorado at the time of the takeover of the apartments.
The police.
We cannot, and I underscore, we cannot tie him directly to the TDA that was doing the takeover, but he was there during that time period, and he was an associate, and he's running with them. He's also showed up in other areas of the country. So is he employed? Of course, none of them are employed, because why bother working when you can come here illegally and just steal from those of us in this country? Then there's Alexis Benavides, who's 27. He's a documented TDA member. He's also, I might highlight, currently a suspect in a murder in New Mexico. But he's also been to Illinois. You know that state that thinks you ought to protect illegal immigrants?
Yeah, I've heard about that place.
Maybe there are other suspected murderers in Illinois they want to protect. I mean, just thinking out loud. He's supposed to be higher up in the organization. And when I asked, what does higher up mean? They just said, well, I said, is he a leader? Is he a boss? No, he's just well respected and higher up in the organization. So when did he come across? August 2023 at El Paso once again. So while he's got a criminal history in Illinois, we don't know what their criminal histories are out of the country, but he's pending a federal warrant for removal.
Pending?
So at the end of this operation, we have these 5 people who are in this country illegally. And not only are they in this country illegally, they're not working, they're not pretending to work, but they're stealing. One of my detectives, and by the way, my detectives are the very best, and this is just one more example of their brilliant work and their relationships with other federal, state, and local law enforcement and prosecuting groups, said they continued as the investigation went on and we tried to tie them together. They continued to become more violent and more violent and more violent. Now we know there should be one map here that shows the state of Florida and the different areas. So regardless, we don't know what all they did in Illinois. We don't know what all they did for sure in New Mexico. But what we do know is the whole time they're here, they're committing crime. And that is just one more example of that. So I want to share something with you. I want to share, you know, Ramon Luna. You see they're all, some of them are smiling here. But I want to focus another picture of Ramon Luna.
Uh-oh, a father?
You see, it's not such a happy time. Life as he knew it is over. Is he crying because he can't steal from Americans anymore?
No, he's happy because he's finally going back home to Venezuela.
Is he crying because he can't rob people in the middle of the night anymore? Is he crying because he can't rip off high-end liquor? This is the end of the road for him and his companions. I hope he has his traveling clothes on, because we want to charge them with racketeering and send them to state prison for a very long time and then deport them. Now, some would say, why don't you just deport them and not spend any more taxpayers' money on them? Well, first off, if you deport them, there's no guarantee that they won't try to find their way back, and there's no guarantee that we won't be dealing with them again in murder, robbery, or theft, just as they make their way here. So he's going to be locked up for a long time. We know that 4 of the 5 of these folks came across during the Biden era of totally open borders. You've heard me stand here before and say we don't have a broken immigration policy or a border policy. We have one that's non-existent. This is the kind of people that are coming across. At one point in time, this rascal got on his hands and knees after we arrested him, and he was begging. He's not so bad. Now look, here's the guns they like to carry as they torment people in the street. But he's not such a big bad guy when he's locked up. Maybe he's having visions of El Salvador prisons at some point in time in his future. We know that sometimes 2 of them, sometimes 4 of them, sometimes all 5 of them did these grabs at the same time as they would enter and rob and steal. We know 2 of them, as I said, robbed at gunpoint. But they're not smiling anymore, you see?
Smile, sort of.
They're crying. They were smiling during the Trump era. I mean, during the Biden era. They were smiling when they came across. I think we have a picture, another picture of that too, of some of their smiling and their partying. You see, they came across illegally. They were stealing. They were partying. They weren't working. They weren't adding anything to this country. And then you see how cool they are as they sent their pictures back to their buddies in Venezuela and how they bragged about being here. And at the end of the day, they thought it was real cool. We're bad dudes. And they're playing people for a fool. I like to think about, you know, who is it, Van Hollen, you know, that just went to visit this illegal in prison, okay? Well, let me tell you something, Senator Van Hollen. You come here to visit these guys, you'll be talking to them through a glass. There won't be any handshaking. There won't be any politicking. You know, these are criminals, and they're dangerous. And when are we going to figure it out as a nation? These people don't belong here. I'm thankful that President Trump said enough is enough. I'm thankful, you know, when he came here, all of those smiles turned to cries. They know it's coming.
Tears of happiness.
We're out arresting people right now. I think
what
today
if they're happy because finally they got caught and now they can go home? What if that's why they're crying? They're so happy.
About 70 or 72 on ice holes in the county jail. Make no mistake about it. You come here illegally, we bump into you, we're going to enforce the law. We're going to notify ICE.
Uh-oh.
We also, because of the leadership of Governor Ron DeSantis and our legislature with current legislation where they provided enhancements, we have enhanced all the levels of those we have charged. So thank you, Governor DeSantis.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Florida legislature.
You're welcome.
Ben Albritton, our president of the Senate. Daniel Perez, our Speaker of the House. Thank you all for giving us the tools to keep the people of Florida safe. So my last editorial comment.
Right.
For those of you across the nation that think this is okay, why don't you find you some violent gang members that we have also designated as terrorists and take them into your home.
Whoa.
Let them sleep in the bed next to your children. Let them drive your car, illegally, by the way. Let them live with you, because when you ignore these people and you think it's okay for them to be in this country, they are tormenting and terrorizing and stealing and robbing and murdering people.
Just over a little.
But Sheriff Grady, they weren't driving. They were traveling. They don't need a license to travel. They're not traveling in commerce. No.
This woman belongs in prison.
I talked to a mortgage banker with 43 years experience to speculate on Letitia James' alleged mortgage fraud. Here's why he thinks she might be in big trouble.
In 2023, papers show she claimed a house in Norfolk, Virginia as her primary residence. That qualifies for a lower mortgage rate. But you know, at the time she's been serving in public office in Albany, New York, that's 500 miles away.
You cannot buy a piece of property and state that you're going to occupy it and not occupy it. When you buy a property and you acknowledge you are going to own or occupy it, your down payment criteria is different, as well as your interest rate. The interest rates normally on an investment property will be anywhere from 3/4 to a full percentage point higher.
You know, when I first heard they saying that she downgraded her apartment or her building in New York from 5 to 4 bedrooms, I was like, why would she do that? Yeah, well, now I know. Or 5 units. But why would she do that? Why 5? 4 instead of 5. Oh, one's commercial, one's private use. So 5 units is commercial.
You will also have to most likely pay discount points, which is an additional cost at the time that you closed on the property. If it shows on her settlement statement she didn't pay discount points, she got an owner-occupied interest rate. In order to be an owner-occupant of a piece of property, you must live in the property for the first 12 months after purchase.
And the referrals also show that she bought this brownstone in Brooklyn, New York, but misrepresented the number of units in it.
How do you buy a 5-unit property and turn it into a 4-unit property? You just cannot do that. When the appraiser goes into that property, they're going to see that there's 5 kitchens, 5 separate living quarters. She must have had some type of connection between herself and the initial lender and the appraiser in order to get away with doing this as a residential. The other fraud comes into play. She did it owner-occupied again. Fannie Mae Freddie Mac says you can have multiple owner-occupied properties, but you have to live in it for a year, vacate it, and go find the next property. They can make this case really big and not only put her in prison, but the lender and the appraiser. And here's the other thing too that you have to remember. She did refinance this property using the TARP program that was approved in 2008. She was able to get herself a much lower interest rate, even though her income was much higher than what the individual is qualified to get. So she scammed it that way as well.
She bought another building with her father as co-signer, calling herself his wife.
By her co-signing with her dad to buy a piece of property and putting on the application as being married, they therefore were able to combine their income together and combine their debts together for qualifying purposes. If she acknowledged that she was married but she wasn't married, that's fraud. You cannot do that. Then we find out that she's married to her father. How is that possible? That's total misrepresentation. When we take a loan application on any individual, if they acknowledge they're divorced, we need to know that because we need to know if there's an obligation for alimony or child support. If you're going to tell us you're married to your father, what's the reason for this? Are you trying to pull a fast one in order for him to become the owner-occupant? It doesn't work that way. Any mortgage lender who's got many years experience, just to look at that file and they will find so many red flags of fraud that she can end up in prison for 20 years.
All right, guys, she knows the law. She's the Attorney General of New York City, or New York. So I'm pretty sure she knows the law. There's nothing that she's doing that's illegal. She's the expert. Don't question the experts. Wait, maybe we should question experts.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Major Franklin, just so I'm clear, I haven't been in for the entirety of the question and answers, but I want to ask you, do you believe that illegal immigration is a problem for the country?
Oh, it definitely is a problem, yeah.
Do you believe that the 10 to 15 million or even 20 million people of the last 4 years is a problem for the country?
Yeah, I do. There's no doubt that we have a border problem and we need policies because you've heard
yes
what we're dealing with at the local level once they get to our cities and towns. That's real.
Yes.
And then we have to make decisions on how we best manage it for us in our communities, and what we see is public safety. So this really pains me to not be able to see both sides come together and work within in the brackets of the Constitution to come up with sound border policies and processes so people can become legal. I mean, it is a huge issue, but what we're dealing with at the local level, and Sheriff Wagner and the other sheriffs here, it's a problem. And you said it, Sheriff, the politics. It's difficult.
Well, let me just stop you there. Our side of the aisle is not for legal immigration. Our side of the aisle is for welcoming millions of people here and then trying to offer them legal status without any process or recognition of the existing legal immigrants we have. And the problem that I have is with sanctuary cities like yours in Baltimore, where I personally had experience with detainers not being honored or respected. So in your experience, what is a federal detainer, and do you support exercising those?
It gets fun here.
Detainers become a problem for us.
What is, as you understand it, what is a federal detainer? I've issued them.
A detainer is pretty much a notice to local law enforcement that they want a particular person and, give us notice when they're going to be released.
Who's already in custody.
Who's already in custody.
So that means, by extension, they have already committed a crime or been arrested for a crime, correct?
Absolutely.
And those detainers, when they're not honored, those people are released without federal law enforcement effectuating an arrest, correct?
I've never experienced that, no.
Well, that's what the detainers, that's what the sanctuary policies are built around. You're not honoring a federal detainer.
Because under my command, the notice went out in a timely fashion, and the federal authorities, be it ICE or another federal agency, were then waiting for that person to be released. But by law, we could not hold them with a detainer. A warrant? Yes. A detainer? No.
So just to cut to the chase, you don't honor the detainer. You have someone in your custody who's illegal. You're notified by federal law enforcement that they are here illegally. The detainer says, please hold. Sanctuary policy does not honor the detainer, correct?
Correct. If it's a warrant, we hold.
Exactly. So you have people who have been arrested at the local level. There's a federal instruction to hold them, an illegal immigrant criminal, and you prioritize releasing them rather than working with federal law enforcement. And it's your opinion that that serves your local community, correct?
They paid their debt.
Releasing someone who's here illegally.
Wait. Illegal aliens have paid their debt? What debt? What the fuck are you talking about?
Who has already been arrested. I'm asking the question, sir. It's your testimony that releasing an arrested illegal immigrant criminal effectuates a safety or a safe policy for your community.
When they're released by the order of the court on a specific date and time.
This is what I call an invasive. This is what I call an invasive answer.
That's what we're required to do.
Someone has been arrested in your town who's here illegally, and you want them to be released rather than to work with federal law enforcement. And it's your testimony that that makes your community safer.
We work according to the law.
Do you think that being here illegally is
funny? Because this guy used to be police chief of Baltimore.
Consistent with with the law?
With the federal law or state law?
Federal law. No. When they commit a crime, they get arrested by your law enforcement agency.
It's a civil process you're talking about.
It is not a civil process. They are not brought into your jail by a civil action.
True.
Will the gentleman yield?
Local police do not have the authority to enforce that federal law.
They have the authority to hold someone when a federal detainer is issued. And that you're skirting the issue. They were in your custody for some other action, correct?
Which they've served their time for, yes.
For some other action. And when you issue a hold, it is a sanctuary policy to let them go, correct?
Sanctuary policy. I'm talking about what I know to be a legal policy.
My time's expired. I think that the point was...
Mr. Chairman, I have a unanimous consent request.
Well, I'm sure you do.
Shall I go ahead?
Yes.
Okay, great.
That was fucking... That's why this issue gets worse.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Just my opinion. You have sanctuary cities like, you know what? They broke the law. They did their time. You know. No need to hold them. No big deal. Apparently, it is a big deal. It's not apparently. It is a big deal.
Are we truly alone? Well, Madison County.
All right, so these last two are specifically for Madison County, Alabama. Madison County, Alabama.
County man is locked up, charged with multiple counts of possession of child pornography.
Deputies booked Dalton Joseph Freeman into the Madison County Jail this morning.
Wait 31 reporter Paige Meyer joins us live.
So they do arrest people for child pornography. Okay.
From the jail where Freeman remains this afternoon. Paige, you have more details now on his arrest.
Marie and Nicole, yes. Investigators tell me that those 15 possession charges landed Freeman here in the Madison County Jail, and they tell me that they only expect more charges to come. Now, spokesman Brent Patterson says the sheriff's office received a tip from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children about Freeman. Now, this prompted the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force to initiate a search warrant at his home.
You think they just knocked on the door and talked to him first?
Home in Meridianville. There, authorities found 15 different pieces of evidence of child pornography.
Sure, there'll be more charges later. That's the beauty of technology. It's the beauty of technology on the bad side and on the good side, is that we have the resources to catch these individuals.
Yet you don't know what their new Snapchat is.
Patterson says the sheriff's office will use every available resource to make sure the children in our community are kept safe. Now, coming up on Wait
I don't believe that.
31 News at 5, you'll hear from one of Freeman's neighbors about this morning's arrest. But for now,
and it's crazy because that was a few months ago. This one is from 8 months ago. You know, I'm not saying it's an issue in this county, but you know, with their sheriff's and department investigator, this could be an issue because he's not really doing his job all that effectively now, is he?
Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force, otherwise known as ICAC, has made several big arrests this year. The number of cyber tips in Madison County alone from 2022 to 2023 up roughly 26%.
Wait, Madison County child pornography went up 26%? I wonder if that's an issue in Madison County, or is it not?
In a 48 exclusive, Haley Baker sat down with one of the lead investigators to shed light on this growing issue.
Yeah, it's shocking to hear the number of child porn cases they investigate each year. We'll get to that in just a minute, but most of their cases come from cyber tips. One of the most prominent men arrested.
Cyber tips. What about somebody that's actually talked to the person and has it on video with evidence? It's way better than a cyber tip, in my opinion. Okay.
In charge with multiple counts of child porn this year was John Kovach. He was the executive director of the Singing River Trail. Although investigators told me they can't talk specifics about that case, they did talk about the rise in these crimes.
This is a crime that's going to continue to increase.
Holy shit! It's him! Huh.
Electronics.
Madison County Sheriff Detective Kenny Adams is only one of 6 members that make up.
I don't know his name. I don't know his name. I don't know his name.
Madison County Sheriff Detective Kenny Adams is only one.
I forgot to bleep it out.
Electronics.
Told me they can't talk specifics about that case. They did talk about the rise in these crimes.
This is a crime that's going to continue to increase just because, electronics.
Madison County Sheriff Detective Kenny Adams is only one of 6 members that make up the ICAC team. He's been with them for about 8 months and says the number of cases they handle is alarming.
Wait. This is 8 months ago, and he's only been with them 8 months. That dude hasn't even been there for 2 years. There's no way he's got 600 cases.
As a
And
parent,
didn't he say he was the only one? I clearly thought I remember him saying he was the only one in that division.
in law enforcement as well. Like I said, I've been in law enforcement for 26 years. That was definitely alarming to me when I got in and seen just how, overwhelming it could be.
He also highlighted some of the specific threats they're dealing with, particularly the enticement of children.
Currently what we're dealing with is the online enticement of children through these electronic service providers, these gaming systems, things like that. And then sextortion is really bad right now. We're having a lot of the sextortion happen within Madison County.
Now, in Madison County alone, this task force received nearly 650 cyber tips in 2023, and Detective Adams says in any given week they receive anywhere from 5 to 25 tips.
So every cyber tip that we have is very credible because the state has kind of already done their due diligence. Once it comes from NCMEC, which is the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, and comes to the hub, the ICAC hub in Montgomery, the state, they've already...
I don't know. I don't have ability to send him stuff, so I sent it to Sam's, hopefully, not Sam Clinton, Sam Squatch, and I told him to forward this.
Already been reviewed by analysis.
It's going to be in my
playlist. In fact, child porn.
And just this year alone, there have been several prominent, high-profile men arrested for possession and dissemination of child porn.
But they were started by a cyber tip. So generally, when we get the information from a cyber tip,
What more does he want from a cyber tip?
Also go ahead and send search warrants to, say, if it was their Dropbox account or their Yahoo or their Google account. We send additional search warrants to obtain the information or the evidence through that. Once we get that back and determine that we have enough evidence to proceed with a search warrant on the residence, then we get a search warrant for the residence that includes all electronic devices.
And as child exploitation unfortunately continues to rise, so does the ICAC task force's commitment to stopping it.
You'd be surprised the people that actually are offenders in this. It's gonna take some time, but like I said, we're in the process of adding more affiliates to help, with these cyber tips and things like that. So, it's increasing, but so are we to combat that.
Now, Adams says one of the most important things parents need to know is if your child has been a victim of sextortion or an online predator, you can go onto missingkids.org and report it and get an image removed. We'll have that link in this story on our website.
That's interesting. That's a little bit interesting. So he's overwhelmed. But he has a department of 6. Thought he said he was the only one. Interesting. So he's still learning. Well, maybe he's on it before. But you'd think he's been in there an extra 8 months from when this video was released. You think one of the 8 months things, like he knocked on the door and was like, hey, what's up? You think that's one of the things he was talking about? Huh. All right. Yeah, as soon as I was watching that live, and I was like, you know what? Let me check something. And that's what I found. Like, first story. So anyway, this will be released in my playlist. Somebody wants to take not this video, because he's not going to watch all this. You can take the video out of the playlist and send it to him. So, hope y'all enjoyed what I had for you today. Like, it's a little bit slow because I forgot stuff that I wanted to show, and it's whatever, man. Still came through, pushed it through. Resiliency. I do not feel suicidal whatsoever, but at the same time, because I'm not telling you how to think. That's fucking retarded. Just saying. Makes me wonder, because I know I was thinking that dude was a pedo sympathizer. And, well, time will tell. Time will tell. And Alex is heading to Nashville. Tennessee next. Just tell you a thing.